Brittany Brown, founder over at beatingbingeeating.com. I am here with Julie Scott. She is actually a recent graduate from our Beating Binge Eating Blueprint program. So hi, Julie.
Hello.
Hey, yeah, so we're getting on today. I want to share, Julie had a really incredible transformation in a very short span of time. She went all into the program. She was very involved in the group. She was just really, really stepped up and drew the line in the sand with her transformation and like literally completely transformed her relationship with her body and food in a matter of weeks. And yes, it's still a journey and so forth, but she's come an incredibly far way. So I wanted to do this interview to just find out like what it is that works for her, what mindset and perspective shift work for her, and just how she got so far so fast and how she's doing today. And Julie, you graduated about a month ago, right?
I did, yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, and Julie's in our inner circle, our Food Freedom Forever inner circle now, really solidifying her transformation. But let's jump in, Julie. So I'd love to just know kind of like where were you at when you started compared to where you are today?
So I was a totally different person. When I sat back and tried to think, I've probably I've been binging for as long as I can remember. So I remember my mom putting me on Weight Watchers when I was 14. And right around that time, I remember sneaking snack cakes upstairs into my bedroom. So like the deprivation binge cycle started very young for me. And I'm 44, so probably about 30 years I've been in this cycle. I always felt like I was bigger than the other kids. I think some of the kids told me I was bigger than them, and I think there was just this expectation of how I was supposed to look. So even as I got older and even taught aerobics and, really got into fitness, it's still that binge deprivation cycle just continued. And the longest that I can remember going without binging is about 20 days. And I would like write the number every day on my mirror to, remind myself, like, you've come this far. But, the more you deprive, the bigger the binge is whenever you do give into it. So, I felt like I was just a very black and white, off or on, good foods, bad food person, and was really just at the end of my rope. So, now I feel like I'm just a normal eater. I do not binge. I have not binged since I first started the program. I'm not scared of food. I'm not scared of places that are going to be food. I'm not scared of going out to eat with friends and what's the food going to be. I'm very present moment in food situations, or not like, Googling the menu to see what's on the menu because can I have this or not or whatever. And I think the best thing of all is just having normal weekends. And I think I mentioned that in the group one time. It was just like I always had such a love-hate relationship with the weekends because, of course, everybody loves the weekends. But on Friday morning when I would wake up, there was this like heaviness in my chest because I knew that once I ate a bad meal, then it was downhill from there, and I would binge probably the whole weekend. Or if it was the end of the month, it might be till, the first of the month in 4 or 5 days. And we live in South Louisiana. That's fried catfish, seafood, all that, all the time. So, maybe halfway through the program, just sitting one Saturday and realizing it's Saturday. Like it's just another day for me. So that's been the hugest blessing for me, just to be a normal eater and live this normal life where it's not all about food. It's not about food at all, really. So I think that's been the biggest change from then to now.
That's awesome. I love it. And so what is this allowing in your life? Like, I know you come for the food, right? To stop binge eating and stop the yo-yo dieting cycle. But like, how are you seeing this actually transfer into other areas of your life? Like, what's this freeing up for you?
So the biggest thing for me, I think, is knowing how strong I am, like how capable I am. It's not dependent on anybody else. It's on me. And so then like, once you know you can do this, and I've done hard things before, or things people can tell me, you couldn't do that. But like now it's like, just tell me I can't do it. Like, right. I'm not binge eating anymore. I can do anything I want to do. So I think just very empowering for sure.
I love that. And as far as like tools go, like a tool or takeaway, just so people listening can get some value, right? Like a tool or takeaway that's really worked for you, whether it's to stop a binge or just like be present with your meals, or just, you know, like anything that's allowed you to be present in life, or maybe just let go of the dieting. Because I know that was a really big thing for you coming off that on off diet cycle. Like the foundational piece of your journey was stopping the dieting and then breaking free from the binge eating, and then also doing all these amazing other things you've done. So yeah, like what's one tool or takeaway you could kind of give away?
Okay, so I'll say a couple of things. First of all, I feel like I love affirmations. So I feel like I was kind of at this place in my life where when you walked in, it was just like serendipitous. I already did affirmations. I already, you know, did self-validation. It was just this piece that was missing. It's like, I have them here. Like I wrote these the first week, and like now they have like water stains all on the bottom. And I go through them like probably 5 times a day. So as I listened to the coursework, I would jot down things that you said, that loving my body means trusting it to make good choices, or I eat in love, not fear. You know, like I have power over binges and over my life. Those things that you said that resonated to me, I mean, I was writing it all down like I was back in high school again. But the ones that really stood out to me, I made it into 4 cards. And then when I started the inner circle, I added 2 more. So now I have the, you know, I choose to value myself and treat myself with respect. Like really just more of being very aware and just telling yourself over and over, because it's funny, it works, you know, but you just have to take the effort. So I have them in my bathroom. So when I brush my teeth, that's 2 or 3 times a day. When I wash my hands, fix my hair, all that. I do the affirmations over and over again. I feel like I was very involved in the group. I always felt like listening and being open to suggestions that other people had was very important for me. And I felt like just really diving all in, like you said. I mean, that's probably the biggest takeaway. I didn't understand it at first. Whenever I had my first call, and it's like, you know, you have to just surrender to the process and this and that. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? And that's really what it means. That's really what it means. You do what you're being told to do, you just do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I love that, because you were so involved in the group. Like, for anyone watching, Julie was like our affirmation quote. Like you were just really inspiring people, and it inspired me. Like I would pop in our group and see one of the quotes or things you post, and I was like, oh, and I'd forget some of those things that I even said. So hearing you say them is, you know, I use them in my life, but of course they've transformed over time. So I just think that's so beautiful. And like, you know, I've told you this a million times, but thank you so much for your contribution and your just like support in the group. It's just for women that were with you on that journey. I know it changed their journey tremendously. So thank you for that.
And I feel the same way about everybody else who added value. So it wasn't just me, but I'm glad that kind of known for that kind of positive attitude. So it was very self-fulfilling to be able to truly believe it and see that it changed me.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So what allowed you to, what was your like mindset or perspective shift? And you kind of hinted to it a little bit ago with the surrendering. I have a feeling that might be it, but what was it? Like, if you could think of a foundational thing, like frame of mind you took into the program that allowed you to have so much success, what would that be?
So I guess like I said, when I first started, I didn't know, what did that mean? Surrender to the process. Really what it means is you have to let go of any diet mentality. You have to trust yourself, and you have to trust that the people who are telling you the things to do in this program are not making it up as they go along. Like it's real, and it really does work. And I think when you're starting something, especially after having started 100 other different things that were going to be, you know, the fix all, you know, you're reserved and you're cautious and you're a little bit, you don't believe it, but you have to believe it, and you have to just go all in. So, you know, when I realized that allowance meant if I can try to have a donut, yes, I might be scared to have the donut, but then once I had the donut, to realize, oh my gosh, I just had one donut and walked away from it. So it's kind of baby steps, but it's totally just surrendering to it, just trust in the process and not partially doing it. I know that I've become friends with some people, and some of them might say like, oh no, I totally want to quit binging. You know, I'm all in, but I mean, I have to lose 20 pounds. that's the part you have to drop. Like, you have to just be all in. Losing the 20 pounds is not part of it. And I know that is going to regulate as the journey goes on. I really didn't gain any weight. I haven't gotten on the scale at all throughout the whole thing. I know you say throw the scale away, but really knowing that I was going to talk to you today, this morning, I was like, I feel like I'm at a place where I can get on the scale, and regardless of what it says, I'm not going to diet. Like, it's just a hard no. I'm not going to ever binge again. I know I won't. I'm not going to diet again. I know I never. So I say I got on the scale. I hadn't even gained a pound. Like, so probably in the beginning I had, but now 14 weeks, it's like it just sort of averaged itself out, I guess. So it's just trust in the process.
Yeah. Sure. I love that. I love that. And, I think a couple of things just to highlight from what you said, the piece of the allowance, even the example with a donut, allowance could be a donut, and allowance could just be allowing yourself like a really nourishing meal at lunch. And I think some other programs push the things like the donut, like have the donuts, have the pizza, like almost this like eat whatever you want in any quantity all the time. And and don't necessarily talk about like how to tap into your body, how to really nourish yourself. And the phases that happen once you do quiet those survival mechanisms, you probably won't want the donut, or a lot of them at least, all the time. Like, it starts getting to this place where it balances out, and you do tend to want those more nourishing things as you kind of learn to bring your body back into the discussion. So yeah, I think that's important to highlight. And then also the piece that you said about the weight loss, just for anyone, especially people watching this in the program, it doesn't have to mean you just never lose weight by any means. However, if we're focusing on weight loss in a way that's causing us to restrict our food, that's going to make us eat more and gain more weight anyway. So I hate the term shooting ourselves in the foot, right? But it's like, it does, like it creates the cycle that has us put weight on. So ultimately, by attempting to lose the weight, we control it, and then we control the food, and then we end up gaining more weight because that on and off cycle that we ride. And so, yeah, it's about like shelving the weight loss in the sense of not directly focusing on it with tracking, scaling, and so forth, and then letting your body do what it's meant to do. And for a lot of women, when they do really surrender into the process, the weight does balance out because their body does balance out. And so, I think it's awesome that you saw that you were able to surrender into the process and didn't gain any weight at all by giving up dieting. I think that's incredible. Right. And now you're free from the cycle. So as you learn on this journey more and more to honor and take care of your body, I'm not even saying that there's weight to lose, but hypothetically speaking, say that there was, most likely your body will go to a really happy set point where you're comfortable, your body's comfortable, and you didn't have to restrict and beat yourself up to get there. So, yeah.
And also, I think just knowing in my brain, like, Julie, if you gain 5 pounds, but you lose this big luggage that you've been carrying around for this long, like, in the whole scheme of life, it's okay. Like, I had to get to a place where I was okay. Like, it's okay. Whatever happens, it's okay. And I just remember being so scared when I did the first phone call, and like, but I don't want to gain weight. Like, that was in my, what 3 things do you want to go to? Like, not gaining weight, doing this, because I've done the things before where it's like, oh, you want a donut? You eat a dozen donuts, and you're like, but then I think that overeating puts you right back into the cycle, not really realizing that you're doing it.
Agreed. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of gray area there. And I feel like we do, it's as a coach, there is a gray area to navigate. I want the survival mechanisms in your brain and body to shut down. And I also don't want you to be using allowance as I don't want to say an excuse to binge, but like just to kind of feed the binge cycle more. So and I feel like we do, I know it's a gray area for everyone, and sometimes it looks messy and sometimes it looks really easy. However, I feel like we guide through that space fairly easy, but it takes that surrendering, and it takes that, like, we're asking a lot of you. We're asking you to trust us after just getting on the phone with us and jumping into our program, And I think that from the outside looking in, as far as your journey, there's a lot of things that stuck out to me, but just the willingness to go in and just, like, I call it the line in the sand, like, draw the line in the sand moment. I'm not binging again. I'm not dieting again. I'm pouring myself into this and just seeing what happens. And I would say that with all our graduates, that is like the determining factor, I would say, for like how much they truly get out of the program. So thank you for sharing all that.
Week 2 was a change. It was like a critical changing point for me, because that was when I learned about the primal brain and about my higher brain. And like, really, I just needed you to tell me, like, you do have the power to say no. Whereas my whole life, I thought it was all just one and the same voice, and I couldn't tell it no. It's just very empowering, and I think very self-fulfilling. And it's a journey that I feel like it's taken me a long time to get here, but it's kind of made me who I am. So I'm here now.
Yay, yeah, I love that. And yeah, that's a big thing. That's one of my favorite parts, is just like, I remember when I learned that information, like learning that I wasn't broken, and learning that I did have the power to separate from these urges to binge, and learning that like just because I binged didn't mean I was this broken, disordered, diseased human that was going to have this like lurking thing that I was going to have to control till the end of time. You know, it's just like getting you back in that place of power, which you got in really quickly. You're right around week 2, it was like the tipping point for you.
Right.
Yeah. I love that. So, okay. 2 more questions. One would be for anyone in the program, specifically, you know, those first few weeks, right? Especially the first week is like, whoa, what did I just get myself into? This is pretty much different than anything I've ever learned before. Like, how am I going to do this? What do you say to those women that are scared or nervous? That, yeah, like, what's your words of wisdom as a graduate to them?
I would think just trust yourself. Like, trust the videos, trust the coursework, really answer them honestly. You can hide your binder if you don't want anybody else to see what you're writing. But just believe that you can do anything for 10 weeks. And that was kind of how I looked at it. Like, you know, it's just like taking that class in college that you really don't want. Like, I can do anything for a semester, right? So I can do this I can put dieting aside for 10 weeks. It'll always be there if I decide, okay, this didn't work for me. So really just going all in, trusting the process, not trying to trick yourself into believing that you can be that one person who can still diet or restrict, and like, just do it. Just do it as it's meant to be, as it's packaged. Trust that your higher voice is stronger. Journal whenever you feel like, you know, have a plan. Like, I knew my plan was going to be, when I started hearing that voice, I was going to go journal. So it's just having these definitive steps of things you're going to do, just like you would plan your day out. And I would definitely say, just trust yourself. Like, we have it all within us.
Yeah, I love that. And that's something that the program does is, I think when we're in diet mentality, I always say we're like chopped off from the neck down, meaning we're in our heads. You know, we're not back in ourselves, really. We're looking outside of us for answers. And the program and all this work and things, I think, does that. It helps you return back to you and like hear that little internal voice that knows what's supportive, and that little nudge that knows how to guide you. So I love that. And I especially like the part about having a plan, because there are a lot of tools, right? And we give you different options, but it's just like sometimes when there's, we give you different options, and it's very, very direct on like how to do it too. But it's nice to like have that 1, 2, 3 thing that you're going to do when an urge happens. So you don't have to spin through like, should I do this? Should I do that? Like, you take your plan and that's what you implement. And I think in those moments of, those heightened moments, the moments of pressure, the moments of an urge, it helps to have a plan. And so one thing, I actually guess I have 2 more questions now, but speaking of urges, like, you don't have urges anymore, right? Like, do you? Yeah.
I just don't. I'm just a normal eater. It's like the craziest thing.
It's like, where did they go?
Right. One more thing I would want to say about when you said the tools, it's like, there are so many tools. And just personally for me, I can't speak for anybody else, but like, I just made it a priority. I made myself a priority, and like was waiting every week for the coursework to get there, and printing the stuff out, and really just making the time to do it then. And I know that there are people, and I'm not saying their reasons aren't valid, but like, oh, I'm just going to take a break. And, you know, I'm going to do this. Like, I wasn't taking a break. I was going right through all 8 weeks. As soon as I got it, I was doing it. I was journaling. I did the coursework. I listened to the meditations. I downloaded them to Dropbox. Like, there was going to be no stone left unturned, so that if at the end of the 10 weeks it didn't work, I was going to be like, hey, Brittany, oh, I did everything you said to do, you know? But just knowing that that wasn't going to happen, because I didn't binge from the first time I learned your mind is different from your primal brain. Like, I don't know, it just clicked, and I was like, okay. And I feel like I was open and receptive, and like, I guess with any other habit, you have to want to do it yourself. Nobody else can want it for you. You have to want it. So
yeah. Yeah, that's so true. So true. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I love it. It's so true. Yeah. It's the, your commitment is just a whole nother level, which I really love. And, like having that plan. And I mean, you're busy, you're a mom, you're a business owner, you're a wife, like you have a lot going on, and still making yourself a priority through that all is, really, really, yeah, like hats off to you. It's, I mean, I get in programs too, and sometimes it's like, whoa, I just got in this thing. It takes so much work, but it's like, you really have to make yourself a priority.
I always say, you can't put the oxygen mask on anybody else until you put your own first. And this was it. This was my time to do this. So I did it.
Yeah, awesome. And now you're freed up to do so many other things besides worry about food. Thank goodness.
Yes.
Yeah, and another thing I think that's awesome is one thing that I think differentiates us is the fact that you don't have binge urges anymore. So I remember when I was in therapy, I would have all these tools, and it was just kind of thought that I'd have binge urges forever. And like, if I didn't know how to cope with them, I would eventually, it was like this lingering thing. So I get tools to stop, but never tools that eliminated the urges altogether. And so I think that is, I just want to highlight that, because, oh my gosh, like the fact that you actually don't even need to use those tools because you're not getting the urges. And hey, so say something emotional happens. Yeah, I
am smart enough to push through, reprogram my neuro pathways, and win.
That's awesome.
I mean, so definitely.
Really cool. Really cool. Awesome. So last question, I promise, I think, unless you prompt me for another one. If, okay, so there's women that may have just landed on our website for the first time. They are Googling, they are talking to therapists, they are talking to coaches. They feel like they have no option, like they can't stop. They've tried 100 diets, they've tried hypnosis, they've tried it all, like we all have. What do you say to those people that are either on the fence about our program or just like looking for the right support in general?
So I would say definitely schedule the complimentary call. Like, to me, I probably looked for 3 months at the phone number, like for 3 months, to just kind of building up the courage to do it. And I think, gosh, I could have been so much farther along if I just scheduled the call. But schedule the call. And obviously there is a time commitment. There's a monetary commitment. You know, you have to change you, but it's something well worth it. There's no amount of money that can ever be worth what I got for this. Like, it's every penny was worth it. And it's just making yourself a priority. There may be some things that you have to not do to be able to do it, but that to me is just make the call. When I made the call, I did not commit right that second, but when I hung up the phone, I sat there for a few minutes. I called my best friend, and finally I was just like, so here's the deal. I would rather just do the program and it not work than to not do it and never know that it might have been the answer for me. Like, that's it. It was just so I'm doing it. And I called back that afternoon and I did it. So to me, that's the most important thing. But here's the second thing that I think is really important. I have issues from my childhood. And just like you said, to go into therapy and feel like you have this monumental task you have to overcome before you can stop binge eating is not true. And it doesn't matter what's going on in your life, and it doesn't matter what kind of emotional baggage you have from the past. You can still, right now, without even really dealing with that stuff, you can stop binge eating today. They're not interdependent on each other. So to me, that's really important, is like, it's not even, I mean, like, yeah, the course works a couple hours a week, but like, you can go about you don't have to stop your life to do this. I mean, it's just present moment decisions. And I just built those into my life. So when we sit down for supper and we say our blessing, at the end of the blessing, I take a deep breath and I become present into what I'm eating. And that makes me just more, okay, that's it. You can do that regardless of what else is going on in your life. You're still going to eat. So I would say, don't put it off because you want to do this first or that first, or lose 10 pounds first, or overcome this first. Just make the call and do it, because it really is. It's a life-changing thing. It changed my life. Thank you.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you. You're so welcome from the bottom of my heart. I've absolutely loved partnering with you on this,
So did I.
on this, and just like in life, like, you know, now we're in touch and I love
Right.
communicating with you and seeing your inspiration and so forth. So yes, thank you. And I know that this interview is going to inspire so many others, whether they're in our program or not, and just know that they have it inside of them, no matter how many years they've been struggling, what they've tried, what they have going on, what trauma they have from childhood or adulthood or emotions or whatever. Like, you can break free of binge eating. And we do the deeper internal work that does like return you back to you and have you back in your power. And you're free from your urges to binge very quickly. So you have space to do those things. And you're not left feeling broken, like you have to go for therapy for 3 years to heal the childhood thing before you stop binging. And I think that that's a big takeaway that you highlighted too. So yeah, thank you, Julie. This has been so awesome.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you so much for helping. Just know that I love being a cheerleader for everybody, but you got to be your biggest cheerleader. That's it. And I mean, especially with my journey, I think being so private and really no one knowing that I had struggled with this, it was like, you know, I was patting myself on the back every week. Like, look at you. So depending on, depending on where everybody is in their journey, you know, you may get a whole lot of support from your family and friends, and you may not. They may not even know, and you may not be, I mean, I didn't even tell my husband till like week 4 or 5, you know, like really. But there's support in the group, and to be surrounded by a group of people who can empathize with you, who have been there and done that, is huge. That group really was. I was like, oh, I don't have time for a Facebook group. But then, like, I found myself often during the day, like, let me see if anybody said anything, you know, or just knowing that you could ask a question and 10 people would answer the question very soon. You know, they really, everybody's just trying to help each other. And I always say there's room for everybody at the top. So just the same, there's room for everybody to be binge free.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. And I just got goosebumps thinking about our girls, because I don't know what it is. I mean, you know, we have a really incredible group. I mean, I feel like I'm pretty fast on there, and I like pop on 45 minutes after a question is posted, and there's like, boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, these answers are all like fabulous. You guys, like, they're speaking like almost in exactly how I would share, or personal stories, or even if someone doesn't have clarity, just like, hey, I've been there too, and I'm with you, and I'm standing with you in this, and waiting to hear what the answer is, you know. And it's just that like moral support that's really, really great. And then everyone on our team has also struggled with binge eating too. So like, we know what it's like. We know what it feels like when you have an urge. We know that no one wants to go journal or like distract with some method someone might tell them when they have an urge, you know what I mean? And like, we've been in it and can really like help support in that. And just, yeah, the sisterhood and support is really incredible.
It really is.
Awesome. Whoa. Yeah. Yeah. Cool, Julie. Well, this has been amazing. Thank you so much. And props to you for, I know this has been private, and now like you're willing to go public and talk about your freedom. And this is going to inspire so many people. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Brittany. Thank you.
Yeah.